I want to share a story that happened to my family. That day, I was sitting with my friends in the apartment. We had been drinking all night. I'm not a liquor drinker. I was just drinking for company. The time was 7 or 7 in the morning, when my sister called me and hysterical voice, crying, said that my brother hanged himself in the shower. I was shocked. I cannot understand anything. Said only that now I will come home. I flew out of the apartment like a bullet, caught a cab and went home. My head was a mess. I was still under the influence. I got home, the house was in shock, hysterical. My mom was crying. I went to the shower, and there's my brother hanging on his own belt. I have zero emotions from shock. Everything inside is burning, and I can't cry. Some time passed and we started to prepare for the funeral. Suddenly my other older brother says, "I told you yesterday that at night some man in black followed me." I was startled and frightened by these words and started asking him what happened and how. The following is from the words of my older brother. The time was about 22 at night. I was in the city center and was about to go home. I got into a cab. Suddenly a man ran out from I don't know where and sat on the back seat. I looked back. There was a man in black looking at me. I thought maybe it was some acquaintance of the driver and didn't pay attention. I took a cab to the bus stop, got out of the car and walked home. Suddenly I turned back and there was this black man following me. I turned around several times, but he kept following me. When I reached the house, he stopped and stood 20 meters away from the house. I asked him what he needed, maybe looking for someone, and he didn't say anything. Then I went home, had some food, went back out to the yard to smoke. I was smoking and suddenly, I noticed that this man was sitting on the courts near the fence. I started to ask him who you were, who you were looking for. No answer or hello. Only a smile in reply. When I asked him something, he just smiled. I invited him to come home and talk, but he sat there and didn't move. Then I went home and told everyone that there was a man sitting in the yard near the fence and that he had followed me from the center of town. But nobody paid any attention to my words. They probably thought it was some drunkard. After a while, this man in black went into the house. I saw him walk down the hall. That night, at about 3 o'clock at night, my brother, who had hanged himself, came out of the house. My sister looked out the window several times, worried, wondering where he could have gone at that hour, and went back to bed. At 7 in the morning, our neighbors who rent a backyard cabin from us found my brother hanged. That's the story we had. I don't know who the man in black is, and why no one saw him except my older brother, and why the other brother hanged himself and not the one who saw him. The whole unsolved nightmare is still in my head. After the older brother's story, my sister started blaming him for bringing home that foul thing.